Greetings, YouTube. Today I'd like to have a wee rant about millstones. Now, this is going to be obscure. The number of people who are actually going to care about what I'm going to be discussing could probably be counted on one hand. But something I've been seeing over the years has really got under my craw, and I want to bitch about it, so I'm going to. I don't know if any of you know what a millstone is. You probably have heard the term when it comes to imagining something which is a heavy weight, that holds people in place, or a great burden. In fact, I am a member of the Order of the Millstone in the Society for Creative Anachronisms Barony of Stone March, as someone who did a lot of service to the barony at one time. But a millstone is actually designed to grind grain, and it is a two-part device. It has a big stone bottom section and a stone top section, which has a square hole, and a wooden square shaft goes in it, which goes to a windmill. Windmill turns, big stone disc. They're like this thick, big stone disc, like just 6 feet in diameter, probably made out of granite or some other hardwood. You pour grain in, it grinds the grain, and there are little grooves carved into this thing which push the grain to the outside, which then gets gathered, bagged up, and used for people baking in their home or at businesses. And this is how grain was ground for hundreds of years. It's efficient. It works. But eventually, those millstones wear out. And so when the millstones do wear out, they tended to use them because it's a big piece of stone. So they'd build them into walls, or they built them into houses or things. They would use the stones for construction. But eventually, the necessity of using the stones again for a second life was not as popular, was not required anymore, because bricks became much more common, how building techniques became different. So people started using them decoratively. And they're quite attractive. It's this old weathered stone with this square hole in the middle, and it's got a lifetime of stories built into it. You know what I mean? And people like that. But as the number of retiring millstones went further and further down, the number of people that wanted millstones as decorative pieces went up, because there's more and more people. And people thought, hey, that's really cool. I want one of those at the end of my driveway, or I want one of those to accent my garden. So people began to manufacture artificial millstones, in the sense that they were producing millstones that would never be used in the mill, just for decorative purposes. Fine. I have no problem with that. The problem I have is that when they make these, they almost always make them with round holes in the middle, because that's really simple. Drilling a round hole, even if it's a hole this big, through a piece of stone, is relatively simple, as opposed to making a square hole this big in a stone. That takes a lot of effort and skill to get that accomplished, particularly because originally it would have been done by hand tools. Some of those probably would have been quite likely even been copper and things like that at one time. So it's easier to do round, but a millstone with a round hole is functionally useless. And that bugs the living crap out of me. Every time I see one, I see it as an affront to the very nature of what a millstone is. Not to mention, they don't weather them, so they look brand new and pristine, like they've never been used, because, well, they've never been used. It's just a big piece of granite that looks kind of nice, and it sits in someone's yard or at the end of someone's driveway or something. So yeah, bugs the crap out of me. I know that the people do occasionally get their hands on antique ones, ones that were actually used, and they have square holes and things. But again, the market for that is going to be far larger than the supply, because there just aren't that many left. There aren't that many millstones in the world left. There aren't many people that are still grinding grain that way. I'm sure there are still people doing this, but there are far more efficient methods, particularly with steam power came in, and water wheels, water power from rivers, and cast iron grinding machines, and then steel grinding machines. So there are far more efficient ways of grinding grain now. But at one time, this was it. If you wanted to grind grain at an industrial level, this is how you did it. And if you wanted to do it for a small scale, you had your own little hand-powered grinder. That's how you did it. It was a hand-powered grinding process. And it was back-breaking work. So it was a hell of a lot easier to just take your grain and pay some guy to grind it at a mill than take it with you. so much simpler and cheaper, and it made your life a lot easier because you could then concentrate on growing the grain. Um, so yeah, but yeah, millstones with round holes drive me batty. Um, and I know, again, the number of people in the world that probably care about this can be counted on one hand, but I am one of them, and it gets under my skin. So, what is the most obscure thing that you have encountered in your life which you find irritating that you know most people won't even ever notice?